Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Live Show, baby. It is game time, just about. Got a couple hours, 3 hours till tip, which is nice. So hopefully we can get some of these bets in, get some of this stuff that we're looking at out to you guys. I'm going to be having Prop Bomb on here in just a little bit, as we all know. Let people jump in. I've got stuff rolling on the bottom line as well. In fact, I need to update that because we did make a couple bets. I'll be going through some leans if we get them and stuff like that, but also going to get Prop Bombs bets in here. So I'm going to bring that up. But if you do need to check anything that you have not seen yet in terms of the bets we're playing, make sure you do check out the bottom line. Going to keep that rolling so that everybody can kind of see what we got going on throughout. Jump in the comments, bring your bets. Let me know what you guys want to look at. That's how we do things here. Gonna let people keep coming in though. What's good, Stan? Nate, nice and early and on time as always. What's up, brother? And Daryl, good to see you, fam. We're gonna be getting this going for sure. Gonna be looking at some of Daryl's stuff. Always got plenty of plays from brother Daryl. We got looking. Appreciate it. We got Modi. Oh, Modi, are you around? If you're around, bro, let me know. I will send you the link. You know, you're moving cross country, brother. I don't know where you're at all the time, but if you want to join for any amount of time, you're welcome. What's good, Free Sauce? What's good, Richard? I was talking to all these homies in the Discord as well. Gonna remind you guys that we have that running if you do want it. If you are not yet in it, the link is in the description of the video. You can go ahead and get that. I'm going to, Modi, I wasn't joking, by the way. I'm going to throw this at you in case you want to, but no pressure. But yeah, we're going to be getting, I mean, look, everybody's welcome. It's all hands on deck, bro. We got a lot of stuff to look at here. So going to let everybody keep jumping in though. What's good to Juice? QNZ Finest already got some plays for us, like Al Horford. Take a look at that one. No doubt. Good to have you, Top Dunk. Won't be letting you miss too many more. We're going to keep it going. I knew it. I knew you were going to be messing with me, Modi. Well, either way, you got the link in there if you want to roll through after you're done grabbing those groceries, out there in Virginia nowadays. I'll start throwing some of these up. Stan's got some plays, so we want to look at those. Let me run through real quick what I got while we wait on Prop Bomb to show up as well. Going to throw a couple of these things at you right now. So the couple of the bets that I have right now rolling on the bottom line. Let me get actually a couple of those in here so I can look at them a little bit more closely and easily for myself. The first play I put up is gone. It was Peyton Pritchard to go to go under. We got Peyton Pritchard unders, and that's been bet down a ton, as I think some other people were on that as well. I still think it's decent in terms of some of his stats, but we should be looking pretty closely because there's going to be some that have definitely lost their ability to be bet at this point. I got some futures in as well. Those are scrolling. I want to bring up a couple of the bets that I already had as well, though, for you, just so you can see what I was looking at since I put those together. So the two that I put in early that I have some graphics for at least, and everything else is still rolling on the bottom line. But the couple that I had graphics for, and then we'll get PB in here. First one is just Peyton P. We'll talk about him, but I think his stuff has gone down too far now, so I'm not sure you're going to get any value off of playing Peyton Pritchard unders anymore. But I don't think he's right for this series. I mean, maybe he gets a little bit of love in game one, maybe game two, but as soon as they get out of here and go to Dallas, he's going to get hunted by Luka. He's going to get hunted by Kyrie. They're just going to find him and go at him. I mean, he might be a good defender against some guys. It's not going to be the case here against this squad, though, as we know. So I think the minutes are really going to be what keeps him from being able to do his thing. And then we've got Luka over boards was one of the first plays I put in as well. We got some other bets that came through on the other live stream that we did back on Friday because I was just thirsty to get talking about this game, even though it's not till today. So definitely want to check those out as well. But the Luka boards one is going to be one that I go back to consistently because he's just going to keep doing what he does, which is stand in the corner and kind of guard the dudes who are standing in the corner with him, like Jrue Holiday, for instance, or perhaps some Papa Al Horford. But he's not going to be doing much. He's just going to be waiting for the shot to go up and go get the rebound. So going to keep running that back for him as well. He finally started going over this super consistently after he got healthy, right? He was hurt for a little bit at the beginning of the playoffs. So going to keep going with Luka on that one. And then the other ones, I did put a little bit on Kyrie. I feel like I was convinced in the last live stream to just take him at 30 plus and just see if he's going to have a breakout game for a small amount of units there, just sprinkled on that one. And then the other ones that I have not brought up to you yet, Luka, I got in a little parlay, 30 points, 8 boards, 3+ threes. That's plus 128. Also scrolling on the bottom line. And then a little SGP for PJ as well, which is what he's done very consistently, is get 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 threes. So we're going to bank on him to do that again for some plus money and keep probably riding with that. But let me bring on PB. You guys can keep jumping in with your bets if you have them, and we'll go over them together. I know we got plenty of stuff to look at. Let me get this up right now for PB. We got the live on here, so I want to get this little, where we at here? Live stream, stand by. There we go. All right. What's up, brother? How you living?
Hey, how's it going, man? It's a long
Good,
time no
man.
see.
Good. I know. I appreciate it. Yo, nice shirt. Are we kind of matching? This was
We're
not
kind of,
intentional.
that was like my first thought. Like, oh, okay.
Well, one of us has to change. No, just kidding. Good to have you, man. What's been good? You've been taking some time off, or you've been sticking around with some other betting stuff?
It's mostly just taking some time off. I'm just coming back from the pool area, just reading a little bit of a book. Mind's feeling sharp right now, you know.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, love it.
Yeah, no, I was kind of looking into WNBA. You texted me off screen, just like how you're getting into it and how there's edges to be made, and definitely follow in the background. I mean, I'm not firing anything like my Discord or anything, but just kind of like following along, like understanding who the players are in the league as NBA unfortunately has to come to an end soon, you know?
Yeah, I know. We got plenty of stuff to come in the summer, though. I know you'll be doing some Olympics and some other.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. So there's going to be some value to be had for sure. Let me bring up a couple things and then ask you if you can. I'm going to grab one thing real quick. You got to want to throw, maybe talk about Peyton Pritchard first, because I know we're on the same page with Pusha P, right?
Yeah. I saw just coming in, you were on his under 8.5 PRA. The prop that I like is I think the RA is fine. I just want to isolate the points itself. To your point, just kind of alluding to what you were saying with Peyton Pritchard, is a lot of the previous series with him, he was able to stay on the court because there wasn't that many kind of actionable players like a Kyrie Irving or, just like a Luka Doncic that kind of coming into the series. I just think like Pritchard, his offense, if his shots are hitting, it's going to allow him to play on the court. But as soon as like Kyrie kind of attacks him or Luka attacks him, just with how small he is, it's going to play him off the court. You saw it kind of in the last two games of the series. Now, granted, it's a brand new series, so maybe that's going to open up a little bit more playing time for him. But, I still think the line is a little bit baked into. Interestingly enough, he was 10 for 13 from three before those last two games. So he was on fire. He's kind of cooled down. Honestly, like I was looking at the March 1st game, he was like 2 for 4 from three, but one of the threes he took was a heave. It wasn't even a three. So realistically, he only took three threes. So I don't know, like when he's on the court, he'll have a 15% usage rate. Like he's not even going to be that actively involved as like we kind of remember him being the last game, the last day of the season, where he's like, he's going to have such a minuscule role. So I like the under 5.5 points. And look, if he goes 2 for 3 from 3 points, so be it. I mean, that's an outlier in itself. So I'm on the same train with you with the under on Pritchard.
Yeah, I think so. It has gotten to a pretty ridiculous point at this point, right? Where we're like, okay, well, 4.5 points are starting to get a little crazy.
No, I don't like it at that. No, I think 5 is the magic number for him. I think he likely ends up on 5.
That feels fair. Like I think a corner three is probably coming.
Corner three, right? And then like maybe he drives in, or like it's an offensive rebound, and they pass it out. He does like a mid-range jumper.
Right.
I don't see that happening more than once.
Look, I mean, he one of his buckets was, a couple of his buckets actually in the last series were like taking a dude like TJ McConnell to the hole. Like there's no TJ McConnell.
You can't do that. Yeah, the Dallas Mavericks. I mean. Last series too. I mean, you had Tim Hardaway Jr., who you can kind of like take it to, but does he even play this series? You're going to have to fight through guys like Dante Exum or
Josh Green,
who are kind of they have the ability to be more agile enough to defend on the perimeter and kind of like put attention to him, and also too, if Pritchard is driving, like they'll be able to kind of do their best to prevent a layup,
Yeah, I 100% do, and I agree with all that. So I think things overall are just not going to be as easy for our boy in this one. So I think we're both on the same page with Peyton P going under there. Let's start with some Luka stuff, because I do like his board.
Sure.
And that's the most comfortable thing I felt. I have a homie who took an under on his points and assists combined. I'm not hating on it because I get the logic behind like under 40.5 points and assists for Luka. And I understand his logic. I mean, because he explained it to me, but also because like it makes sense that he's not going to necessarily do both. And I am staying away from the assists in this series, but like Luka to get 35 points means he needs 6 dimes is not really something I'm trying to bet on. But where did you kind of net in terms of what you were thinking about Luka?
Yeah, so I agree with you on the assists. I think coming into the series as compared to the Timberwolves series where they kind of had to resort to blitzing him towards the end of the series, and that kind of racked up those like alley-oops where he had to they forced him to be a distributor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just think like they live with him, taking him in ISO, and that's going to limit his assists, honestly. I think he's going to be able to get his own. I think one of my favorite series props going in is Luka Doncic's top point scorer. So I think the points won't be a problem. Do I want to take the 31.5 myself? No. I try to stay away from taking points props on stars if I can.
Yeah.
I think that's like the most like lowest value props there are. You know what I mean? So I try to stay away from that. But the rebounds, though, it makes sense. Now, I only hold some sort of hesitancy with it just because I do see that they're going to want to try to action Luka on defense. They're going to try their hardest to, just like what they did with Halliburton, right? Like, get him involved, tire him out early. Yeah, and that can kind of take away his rebound chances. But then on the flip side, where it could help him is that Gafford or Derek Lively, who are normally kind of collecting those boards, are maybe going to have to be a little bit more mindful in defending Kristaps Porzingis. So that's going to push him out. So that's kind of like how I see Luka.
Yeah, I fully agree with all that. And like I think they're actually going to be pretty similar to the Timberwolves in the way that they guard Luka. That's kind of what I see. That the thing that they have that I would say is maybe a little bit better is like if you bring on Kristaps and Porzingis at the same time, or and Al Horford at the same time. They did that in the regular season a few times against this team. Specifically, it seemed like to make sure that they could have a defender on the lob when Luka goes in against the pick and roll, right? So it makes sense to do that. I don't know if they'll necessarily be able to in this series if they do sort of go smaller. There's just obviously only Gafford on the floor. I don't think you want both of them having to guard someone, either of them really having to guard someone like PJ Washington and pulling them from the basket in that sense. So the matchups will be super interesting to watch in this one. But I got to agree, just kind of finishing the Luka point where like, look, I took him to get 30 in this game. And I combined it with that other one. Yeah. So I think 30 with the 8 boards and the 3 threes. I like that. That to me felt like a pretty good number. The reason the end point too is like I took the boards because his double is like minus 160, yet his rebounds were plus 106. So you're saying that his rebounded prop is at 9.5, his assist prop is at 8.5, right? So they're indicating that they think he's more likely to get 10 boards than 10 assists. But they dropped that
price prop juice on the over though. Is it juice on the over or the under for the 8.5?
For the 8.5, yeah, it's like minus 130 is that number. I have it pulled up right here.
I guess they're doing that because they can see that one of those could happen. So maybe they're just trying to be a little bit.
Exactly. And I mean, the best number looks like minus 119 right here that you can get on Caesars, or minus 120. So it's not like you lose a ton, but it's not plus 106, right? That's a pretty big difference of like 27 cents or so. So yeah, I'm gonna keep riding with the rebounds as probably a somewhat of a go-to for Luka. But for everybody asking about like the PRA at like 55.5 or whatever it is,
I think it's all right. Like I think honestly, I lean the over, to be honest with you, just because I see this being a Luka series. Like it has to be. If they want to win. Right. However, like I just don't think there's any edge. That's just the point I'm going to try to drill through is like with stars in general. Like,
right. Yeah. And like I don't know what people would really need to see with Luka. Like once we show you here, like what he's done in the playoffs essentially, right? And once he really got healthy after the OKC series, which by the way, OKC was playing the complete opposite of the way Minnesota D'd him up. And I would say that Boston is a lot more likely to play him the way that Minnesota did rather than the way
be a lot fresh too. Like the thing with Luka is he's playing through injuries that he's even said himself. If it was the regular season, he'd be out 2 weeks. But this is probably debatably like the healthiest he's going to be entering in the finals is fresh off 8 or 9 days of rest, Yep.
Agreed. Yep. And that's the last thing here is like, I mean, look at these field goal attempts. You're going to fade someone that's going to shoot the ball 23 times in this game, most likely. Like, nah, they're all going to be good shots. right? They're all going to be shots that like are either him taking a step back three or him getting in the lane and putting up his little dink and dunk. As far as the dimes go, like we both made kind of clear, it's not necessarily what we love for Luka in this series is the dimes. So, take that with how you will. The 17.5 rebounds and assists, it's going to come back to this thing where it's like there's like PB is saying, there's not really an edge to these numbers because the books have finally been able to go, here's the lines here's the averages that these guys have had in the playoffs. We have almost 20 games now of them playing in the playoffs. Big enough sample size for them to go, he's averaging 17.5 RA. We'll make the line 17.5 RA, right? And so there's not necessarily anything there. But like this is a great point that the Juice is bringing up right as I'm talking about it, which is like, yeah, go for it. Like take a plus 380, plus 480, whatever it was at a minute ago for the triple double. If that's where you're at with the PRA, like the edge isn't necessarily there for the PRA. But if you're going to sprinkle a little bit on the bigger props, that's kind of my logic with Kyrie as well. Was like, yes, I think he can get 24 points in this game. I'm kind of doing that based on this, like, well, he's back in Boston and he's going to be pumped for the finals kind of thing. And there's not right? Like there's not as much like, oh, this stat shows me that he's going to do better here, there, or whatever. I don't know that he's going to shoot more or anything like that. So that's where we're at with the stars. I would agree with that. Let me interrupt us to say, I know you've got a couple other plays here, so I'm going to let that guide us for 1 second and see if you want to share one more, and then we can kind of get into some other props for that dude.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. The first play that I gave out. So, the Pritchard is the public play. So if anyone's listening, they get a chance to see what's behind the doors of the premium. So nice reward for listening. The first play that I actually gave out for the finals, it was 6 days ago, and it's like minus 190 now. But that's Daniel Gafford under 1.5 blocks.
Love it.
It's kind of a little bit of a copy and paste with him as far as like Miles Turner when he played the Celtics. Coming into the series with Miles Turner, last 5 games, he had 2+ blocks versus the Knicks. And then when he goes into the Celtics series, that hit rate is like it was 1 for 4, granted, but that one hit where he had came in overtime. So without overtime, wouldn't have had 2+ blocks. But just besides the point, it's just a different series, with Gafford facing the Timberwolves and Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. A lot of the times you'll see them drive to the basket, or Karl-Anthony Towns, he does those like he drives and he does like a short mid-range type shot, and Gafford is able to block that. But the Celtics are a entirely different beast. I mean, how the Celtics play is that they don't really drive too much. They're actually one of the fewest allow the fewest drives per game, and the way that they kind of like make up for that is that they shoot a shit ton of threes, and and Jaylen. And then when the players do drive, they're very skillful enough to like avoid contact to drive the ball. And honestly, too, just in general with Daniel Gafford, I don't see like there to be that much of a minutes like upside with him. I think there's going to be a Maxi Kleber series. That kind of get into. We could talk about that a bit later, but you look at the hit rate if you go on props.madness or Outlier. I don't know if Outlier does it.
Yeah, I think we can. Let's try it real quick.
With the blocks, I mean, if he plays less than 24 minutes, like it's a pretty high hit rate. He doesn't get 2 blocks.
Right. So I'll throw it up on Props Madness since that's what I know what you were using, but I'll pull up Gafford real quick. And you were talking about him blocks, and how are you filtering this?
So what I did was I believe I did 18 to 22 minutes. I think it's kind of fair to see like a lot of things. And another thing too with Gafford is that it's a little bit misleading. Now he definitely averaged that in the last series, but Lively was out, the second half, one game, and then out so yeah, I mean like that number.
Let me go playoffs too for a second.
Yeah, go playoffs. Like look at that hit rate.
Yeah. 1 for 8 when he's playing that amount of minutes. This one he saw 21. I don't believe which game. This was game 4. So Lively came back in this game, I believe, right? Or
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like I was looking into that game.
I
think a lot of those came to like Cat trying to be aggressive,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. No, look, you don't got to convince me because like we were saying, like Boston does not get blocked because they don't go to the rim. Plus, they're just really good. The centers don't go to the rim. I mean, Kristaps will put up that little baby hook and was really efficient.
They don't really attack it too much. They don't need to,
But how are you going to block a 7'4" dude with his with his wingspan when he's putting up a little baby hook in the lane? Like that's not opportunistic block opportunities there. So I think I'm with you on that. The juice is gone, but I still think under 2 blocks for him is a great parlay piece as well. For
parlay
Gafford.
piece at this point, for sure. It's minus 190. It's off the books now. But.
Yeah, exactly. So while we're on Gafford, and I actually do want to transition to Kleber in a second, but like for Gafford rebounds, that was a look that the ever trusted Free Sauce brought up, which was Gafford under on the boards. And if you're looking at that, you're probably thinking the same kind of thing in terms of how you're looking at it, right? Which is like the minutes have not been there. The minutes might not be there for him, and this is not his series necessarily.
No, not at all.
Would that be the logic behind going under on the boards as well?
Yeah, it just with Daniel Gafford, he gets on the court when he's able to like be a menace on defense, and when he's a menace on defense, it's normally coming when he's defending a non-shooter. He's on Josh Giddey or he's on Zubac or he's on Gobert. This series, he can't really like count on a non-shooter, so that's gonna in turn like kind of lower his minutes upside. And when he is going to be like grabbing rebounds, maybe I don't think it's going to be, it'll be lucky rebounds he grabs because he'll be defending a shooter, so it'll bring him out. But one of the plays though that I have a heavy lean on, I never really do this. I never really double down on a player. I actually like the under PRA. It's 15.5 minus 125.
Interesting.
That was a high hit rate in the Clippers series, the Thunder series and the Timberwolves. It makes a little sense. Thunder can't really guard center rebounds, but the 15.5 was like, I'm like still kind of on the fences of putting out officially.
Yeah. Because it scares you what he was doing against OKC.
It's just the hit rate. Like the recent hit rate with it. But, Kleber is active, and I just don't see him playing more than 24 minutes. It's just
that's a fair point.
Pritchard. I think him and Pritchard are the 2 players that have like the most challenges coming into the series, honestly.
Yeah, they're going to lose some juice for sure in this one. So, during the season when he played without Kleber and without Derek Lively as well. This is without those guys, and so this is going to be you see the percentage of overs here. It's a 60 on the season. It's a 54% hit rate, 13 of 24, averaging about 16. But even with those guys in there, the averages were still at 16.2, whatever. It's like basically the same concept. If you actually take those guys and say, oh, this is with them, excuse me. So it's still like. This is with them, which is still the same concept of what I'm trying to say, which is averaging 16.2, which is the number that he needs to hit, going over 54. But it's not like
what do you do if you make the minutes limit like to 23? Does that fix it? Does that adjust anything?
He was playing 22. I think we can be even conservative and put it at 24 and say like there's a possibility, but 18 to 24 minutes. You still see like, all right, against like teams like Chicago, Sac, Miami, Indy, played a few more, had a few more rebound chances in there. But it's right on the fence for me too with that bet for Gafford. So it's a little bit scary for me to go under at that point with some of these bets. Yeah. I think 5.5 is still a scary under, to be honest, just because he could trip and fall into some of these boards in his 20 to 22 minutes. But if Kleber comes in and proves that he's a lot better, even if this prop drops a little bit, we're going to have an opportunity to go under on this in the next game as well, So there's going to be like this for me would fall under a lean of like, I like the under on the PRA more than the rebounds alone for Gafford, but I'm going to kind of leave it alone for right now and see what happens. If Lively and Kleber are really coming in there and just busting up his minutes, then we're going to roll with it. But real quick, since there was a question coming in from Elijah, I just saw Porzingis is not on a minutes limit. I didn't hear anything specific about that. Did you?
I'll look into that. No, I'll Google. I'm going to Twitter that right now to see what's going on.
Yeah, well, we're going to look into that because I still haven't seen anything. They've been incredibly vague, right, and obscure with the way that they hand out this Kristaps news about how good or how healthy he is and all that stuff. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, there hasn't been a single report. Now, if we do find out that he's not on a minutes limit, I am slamming his first quarter points. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that's holding me back right now. We could talk about that when we get to him. But
let's do it, but real quick because I hit that. I did play that. That's on the bottom line as well.
Yeah, I like that too. I was listening to shout out Monotone Football. He was on VSiN and he gave that out. He said what I learned from him is that Kristaps is just overall in the regular season and in the playoffs, he is the team's leading first quarter scorer. You would think Tatum or Jaylen Brown is, but they like to get him going. And
yep. 100%. No, that's what I was looking at. 6.9 points per game in the first quarter. Nice. But also just the amount of shot, like where he's shooting from, it's either a 3 or down low in a lot of these games. I'm actually just pulling up players to show exactly what you were talking about, which is in the regular season. If you take this a first quarter right here, and you can do this in other stuff like Outlier, Props Madness, whatever. But just going to it, like during the regular season, why is that? This is at 4 point. I'm still in the playoffs, aren't I? Yep, I'm in the playoffs. Hold up. Regular season, if I do this, he's at 7 points per game. Yeah, so Jaylen Brown took over like at the end. They're basically neck and neck, and it's the same concept with Tatum. You look at the shot distribution for him: 5.7 for Brown, and then 4.9, 4.8 for Tatum or Kristaps and Tatum respectively. Like that's where I'm at. You're not wrong to sort of like wait and see on this bet with Kristaps in the first quarter. I totally agree with that. But it was minus 108, and I was like, that's worth a gamble to me for him to make 2 buckets, even if he's out there for 6 minutes, right? And this is the way that I projected it. If he's out there for 6 minutes, we're still going to see it 4 shots, and especially because I think they're going to try to get him involved early,
Absolutely.
even more so, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing would be if he plays the first 4 minutes and comes out, nobody panic because it's still likely that he comes in for the last 3-ish minutes of that if they're trying to run him in those spurts. Now, my other buddy made the good point that, like, if you've got a calf injury, they might play you for a decent spurt and then try to sit you for a decent spurt as well.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then he's going to play 6 to 7 to 8 minutes in the first quarter. And that's kind of what I need to feel good about that bet. So I took the gamble on it, even if it doesn't hit in this one because he comes out too early and doesn't get the minutes in Q1.
Yeah.
I'm still not going to assume that's going to be the case. If he's healthy and good moving forward, we'll get some more news before next game, and then we can kind of come back to it. But yeah, I'm still good on that.
Just sticking to that point, with the first quarter, I think this is my theory is that going into game 3 and 4, it's going to be Lively who gets the start over Gafford, and they're going to quickly realize that Gafford shouldn't be starting. And how are they going to quickly realize that is by going to Porzingis, pushing that button right away and punishing Gafford. I think right away. I mean, look, I want to take the first quarter points. I just myself, I need to know if he's playing, how many minutes he's playing,
Fair. Yeah, absolutely.
But I definitely see if there's a prop that says first 3-point scorer, I definitely see Kristaps. They're gonna try to get him involved as early as they can. Honestly.
Yeah, first 3 made kind of thing for Kristaps. Yeah. I don't hate that at all. Yeah, I like that. If you can find that, that's a pretty good way to play that. Anything else for Kristaps in your mind before I do move to Maxi, since we're talking about the big men anyway?
No, just for me right now, that's my third prop is over 1.5 3-pointers made. Even when you put the filters on for 20 to 30 minutes, being conservative, that still has an 80% hit rate at home. So he's a way better shooter at home. I think if he's not as mobile, maybe that will help him and kind of stick him to that 3-point line. But that's kind of where I want to go right now with Porzingis. Wait a couple of games. It's not the end of the world if you don't take one prop. It's always best to kind of see it out first, then to guess. So that's kind of what I'm doing with him, with Porzingis.
Nice. I'm with you on that. I like the threes. I gotta laugh at this because Brian Andrews donated on the any player to break Elgin's final scoring record.
What is that?
Yeah, Brian, was it for the whole series or was it for one game with what you're talking about? Because I saw you can get if anybody to break Michael Jordan's postseason record of 60.
I saw that too. Yeah, it's funny you say that. Let's see.
The most ridiculous ones that I hope nobody is freaking donating to, the Baylor one, maybe, but John Stockton, 24 assists. Please wipe that.
No, please. Chris Paul is not in the series.
No, just please don't donate to that. And the other one,
I don't think this could be a donate. This could be, maybe a 2% chance this happens, but
that seems high, to be honest with me.
It's 61 points.
Even less likely, dude. Who's going to get 47 rebounds to outdo Wilt Chamberlain's you're not getting 47 rebounds. So, this is not 1965, dude. Nobody needs to be betting on that stuff right now. I just want to make that very clear. But if you're talking about Elgin Baylor, maybe over the course of a series or one game in the finals, let me know what that is, Brian, because that's a really interesting one to me. If it's 63 points is going to be really hard to come by. It would have to be Luka, and they would have to be focused on just him shooting every damn time. And
Yeah.
I'm not going there with that. There's no way the odds are going to match the implied probability of that actually happening, right?
Yeah, that's a donation.
Okay, it was series points though.
A craps, you're at a craps table and you're donating, whatever.
Yeah, 100%, right. But yeah, okay. So need some overtime games, but that's why. Oh, plus 50,000. Or wait, okay. So 500 to 1. So that is a tasty number of 500 to 1.
Yeah, look, I mean, you got to have double overtime for you to get it. Honestly, can it happen? No.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do that math real quick. 30 divided by 6 would be 50 points per game. Like, he basically needs to average 47.
That's what it is. I thought it was just like total. Okay, it's points per game average.
No, it's the 285 in the series, right? So just doing some quick math, if he gets 300 points divided by 6 games would be 50 a game. So just take a little bit off of that and be like, okay, let's say he needs to average about 45 games and this shit needs to go for like 6 to 7 games. And look, that's the best thing you have going for you if you take that bet is like, I think this thing goes at least 6, if not 7. So, you might get a little bit extra love there, but that is tough, man. So keep that in mind. Let me move on to Jay. Actually, I do want to get into Maxi for a minute since we hit the big guys and you talked about your KP bet. You didn't play over 2.5 points for Maxi, did you?
Maxi
Kleber.
Oh, I thought you were saying Tyrese.
Not Tyrese.
Maxey.
My bad. Yeah, no, not Tyrese, who's about to get paid fat, by the way. I don't know if you saw the story, but we won't get into that. I
like that. It's more of a lean for me. I want to see it happen first. Like
Kleber.
I go back to this. Kind of reminds me of Kyle Anderson going into Game 1 of the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Timberwolves Dallas series where like that PRA line was 5.5.
Yeah.
And it ended up being like 12.5 by the time it was Game 3. Yes, I may miss out on a very low number, but I want to see it first. Like I do think like they're going to need him maybe in situations where they're down heavy and they have to kind of put him in as a 3-point shooter.
Right.
But no, I mean, like, I think like he leans over. I lean over. I think he can score 3, but
you don't necessarily think the minutes are like a lock for him in any way, right?
No. I mean, I honestly see 10 to 12 minutes, honestly. And it would come maybe in the second half. But if you look back in the March game, he's going to probably be tasked to defend Tatum a lot. They need his body.
Gotcha. Let me pull that up, actually. Yeah. You think the point of him being on the floor would be versatility?
I think he's going to be a Tatum defender. Yeah. I mean, he's great with switches. He shoots too. So it's like double positives.
Right. Yeah. So then the question becomes, because I think it was JK that was bringing it up. Do you go with the I'm pulling up Maxi right here. Do you go with the 2.5 points for minus 125, or if you're gonna bet him, probably just take the 3s at that point?
I would do 3. I don't really see him like. Well, you can check that out too if you Google his. I could show you how to check that out.
Yeah.
So you just do shot dashboard. Just check out the shot dashboard in the regular season. Like what percentage of shots was he taking from 3s?
Okay, guys. Like, where would you look at that if you were pulling up a site to look at that?
So for starters, I just Googled the name Maxi Kleber, and I looked for the NBA.com link right there. Yeah, okay, perfect. So that's what I click on, and then I go on stats, and then so I do that drop down where it says profile.
Yeah,
you can do. Believe it is tracking. Yeah, tracking.
Yeah. Okay, got you. Yep.
Okay, there you go. Shot dashboard. And then you can see 82% of the time he's shooting a 3.
Yeah, that's in the playoffs. The regular season is probably going to be similar numbers, though, right? Like,
okay. I mean,
so 62.5% still. But yeah, I think in the playoffs with less time when he's supposed to be out there, like, I think the playoffs is a little bit more accurate. Like, the frequency of 82%, especially because his shots have dropped so much, that still makes a ton of sense to me, right? And so even money, he's not going to take enough shots necessarily. Let me go back to the last 20. He's not necessarily going to take enough shots. If you look at his field goal attempts in the last 20, he's averaging 3 attempts per game even before he got hurt, right, in the regular season. So that's the end of the regular season into the playoffs. 2 shots per game essentially is not something that, like, you might as well just take the 3s because he's got to hit both of those shots or he's got to hit a 3 to get the over. So for those of y'all that were talking about Maxi Kleber on the points, 2.5 sounds really sexy and easy to go over. But if you look at the shots that he's taking, most of them are from 3. If he hits one of them,
just go at that point, just stick with the 3s. I think there's better juice that you could, save a little bit of sense. save a little shekels, you know?
Yeah, save a few of those shekels, 100%. Yeah, some of that gelt. All right, let's keep it moving to let me get Maxi out of here. And there's no other prop that I would bet for Maxi, so just keep that in mind, y'all. Before we actually get there, since we're running through the big guys here, let's just talk about Derek Lively, because one of the more popular bets so far has been assists. For him, over 1.5. I believe our buddy Prop Holiday was on that as well. Yeah. So a couple people that we trust definitely like the assists. What do you like? What do you think about that? Because he's proven to be so much better of a playmaker, and is like he seems more right for this series than Gafford, because he can play further from the basket. I mean, how many times have we seen Gafford get the ball anywhere outside the foul line and just start walking with it because he doesn't know what to do? He's just like,
he just compares to like Daniel Gafford. Lively just has so much more like intangibles that he can contribute, whether it be offense, defense, like screening, not the things that don't show up on the box score. He can do that Gafford can't, and he's going to be really, I think, relied on heavily, and may even play at some points, 28 plus minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then like it comes down to the assists. Like a lot of the times with him, it's like it comes off the short roll. He's in the pick and roll with Luka, and then he rolls out. He gives it to
somebody
to him in like the perimeter or something, and then he kind of does some playmaking, or he'll pass it to a 3 or whatever. But I like that at plus 140. A little bit earlier on the week. Now it's kind of like minus 100.
Yeah.
I think like it lost value for me to take it, but I liked it when it was. I think that the books are seriously underrating his 120. Yeah, no, his. I just think they're underrating his playmaking skills, because he's very elite. Like just coming into college, like he was like scouted as an elite facilitator for a big man.
Right. Yeah. Someone with actual playmaking skills and like on ball skills rather than Gafford. Sure. So. Plus 120 on DK, or plus 114 is what the juice is saying he's seeing on DraftKings, which is, it might be pulling through a little bit slowly on Outlier. So just keep that in mind. But I think plus 114, plus 120, still a pretty good look. If we think he's getting more minutes, let me put him at like a minimum of like 26 and say that that's his floor in this game, right? And I'll just max him out at 32, but honestly, I don't even need to.
I'll go with, what I'll say for him for going for game one. I'm going to say 23 to 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep that up.
That's kind of fair, right?
What's that?
I think that's pretty fair to project.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, for game one, we can see what it looks like, especially because if the coaching staff sees something in this game that it gives them reason to believe that he should play 28 to 30 minutes, then we can see what that looks like after game one. But for now, we'll be conservative, say 23 to 27 minutes. And we are looking at the last 10 here. But if we go to 2023, and this is not fair because he's a rookie, so like it makes total sense that he got better as time went on. Right. If you look at these numbers past March, they're all a lot better. And then we get into the playoffs, and this is where he shined. Right. So 14 of 23 when he's getting this amount of minutes. But really, if we do it in the last 20 or last 10, it's going to be an even higher hit rate there, as we know, because even if you take out the playoff games, that some of the playoff games that he didn't make it to 23 or 27, or maybe he played a few more or whatever, this seems like a really good number. And I'm on the points right now for Lively, just to be very clear. Like if you take him at 8.5 points. But
I think with him, though, like he benefits the most when people blitz Luka. Like that's where he gets a lot of his points, because like then you have the dunker spot open for an alley-oop. Do we see that happening? That's the question. Like, do you see them having to blitz Luka?
I think they do. I think they go back and forth. I think that's going to be sort of the strength of this Boston defense, is that they don't have to play the same way every time, because they have like 6 dudes that have made an all-defensive team or could. You know what I mean? So I think they're going to mix it up. The best part about it too for them is like I said, the amount of different looks that they can throw at Luka is going to be crucial. So it's more about like, all right, we've got Jaylen Brown on the floor at the same time that we've got two bigs on the floor. Let's throw Jaylen Brown at him and then not worry about what happens when Luka gets into the paint. So that's kind of where I'm at too with it. For Lively, I haven't bet him in this game. I don't really have a good reason not to. I guess I've just been looking at a ton of other bets and trying to handicap the WNBA. So that's got to eat into it. But I don't have a good reason not to take him, to be honest with you. All these numbers look really good. I'm going to pull up the assists for him as well. And with this minutes, I'm going to put it back here to 23 to 27 real quick, because I think that is a fair projection. Well, I would leave it at 28 because I don't even care. But the last 10 that he's played, so one game he didn't, and then basically 60% hit rate, averaging 1.8. Like at the plus money, I still think it's a good number for him. The fact that it's still plus 120 is wild to me. He is a guy that I'm going to take a quick look at in the first game and see how that goes. Same concept for Gafford. So I haven't played either of them, but I'm going to put him in here as a lean real quick. And while I'm putting him in here as a lean, I believe we have one or two more bets that you were looking at that I would ask you to throw out there if you're down.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let me just refresh my memory. I was looking at the card.
Yeah.
So I spoke about.
We got one more. I've got Pritchard under 5.5 points for
okay.
PD. Gafford under 1.5 blocks. Porzingis over 1.5 threes. And there's one more I believe you have.
Okay, yeah. So this one, it's interesting. I'm actually seeing some reverse line movement on it, which not the best feeling, but maybe it's just because he's just a popular name. I like Jaylen Brown under 23.5 points. I got it at minus 113 at FanDuel. When I gave it out, it immediately went down to 22.5. Now it's back to 23.5. So anyone can take it if they're listening.
Yeah.
It's just like a sell high for me. I mean, last series, it was all the perfect conditions for him. He was facing a very fast Pacers team that is not so good with giving up or permitting transition points, where he thrives in. They're terrible at defending, the rim attacks. And because of that, and also with Porzingis out, he averaged 29.8 points per game. So all of that was great. It was a perfect storm for him. But I just think like shot profile wise, kind of like going into a new series, it's going to be a lot more slower paced. I don't see it changing. Like they had a non-shooter in shooter in Karl-Anthony Towns, and they still were able to pack the paint, which I think is going to be the biggest edge on why he goes under. Yeah. 40% of his points last series against the Pacers came from drives.
Yeah.
And he was just bullying Andrew Nembhard, which was his primary matchup last series. And against Dallas, you look at March 1st, like he had, I think, 25 points, but Tim Hardaway Jr. started over Derrick Jones Jr. That's not going to happen. Derrick Jones Jr., while maybe Jaylen Brown can maybe like bully him as well, you still have PJ Washington you have to get through. You still have Derek Lively you have to see at the basket. So if it's going to come through like mid ranges or 3-point shooting, I'll live with that because those are lower percentage shots. And then I was looking at Props Madness. Shout out Pips if you're watching. What I was able to put together was that, in games where he's played 36 or more minutes against top 10 paint defenses, which is what I'm saying the Dallas Mavericks are going to be. Yeah. He actually averages 21.2 points per game, goes under this in 10 of 13 games. So I just think it's a good time to sell high. That's kind of my reasoning with Jaylen Brown.
And we're saying top 10 for the points in the paint allowed?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I found it with you. Dude, shout out Pips again, man. I've been fucking telling him like every other day. Dude, this thing, like this right here, the ability to look at how good or how an opponent plays in general, right, is just so huge because he's basically saying like, here are the teams that are comparable to the team that he's going to be playing. This is what he's done against those teams. It's absolutely perfect betting.
Check this out too. While you're on that dashboard, you see that game where he had 28 points against the Cavs. What did he shoot from three? I'm just curious. I actually don't know.
Two for three. He was just
that was valid. There's some games.
No Jared Allen. Is this Jared Allen? May 11th? It might have been. Yeah, this is Jared Allen game. No Jared Allen. Yeah. So that's
the thing with him. Like Jaylen Brown, he scores in transition and he scores when he's able to get in the rim. I already know Jason Kidd's going to come into this. Let's make him drive with his left hand. Let's make him uncomfortable. So
100%. Yep. And you see Dallas, they're the 12th best defense at limiting transition points. It's going to be really interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of switching when it comes to Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr.
I agree with you. Yeah,
right. It's very like switchable and malleable. So I think there's no way to just say like, look, I do think if Derrick Jones is on Jaylen Brown, it's not as good of a play because I think he'll big boy him. Tatum, you don't have to worry about getting big boyed as much. So if I'm Jason Kidd, I'm putting Derrick Jones Jr. on Tatum and I'm putting PJ Washington on Jaylen Brown and hoping that that's the play there is mostly that like PJ Washington's a bigger dude, straight up. That's just what it is. It's like you can't bully him quite the same way, right? So that's a good look for me too. The JB under, I'm with. The only other thing that I would bring up is the rebounds. I do like to look at those with him from time to time because of where he's normally playing. But if he's guarding Luka, I'm not taking over on rebounds against him. Is that logic add up to you?
The rebounds, I don't know, because I think with Jaylen Brown, I think he's going to have some possessions where he does have to guard Luka Doncic, and that's going to affect his upside.
Right. I'm saying I don't like over.
It opened at 5.5. Let me tell you this: it opened at 5.5, so you're missing a little bit of a value. It was minus 130 right when the series props became available.
Right.
And
yeah, so it got bumped up to the.
Oh, yes, the under. Okay,
under. I'm talking about like in the under here.
I like the under. Yes, I like that. Yes.
Yeah, we're on the same page with that because of it, it's exactly what you said, which is if he's guarding Luka, is that the dude that you want to be getting the boards? Like, did Ant get boards after he started guarding Luka? I wonder. Ant Edwards.
He did. He did
still get boards.
But Jaylen Brown as well. Like, he is probably one of the better Celtics players in defending drives too. So maybe if he's not guarding Luka, or he's maybe in like a roaming assignment and he's defending a Kyrie Irving potential drive. You know what I mean? Yeah, so,
that makes sense. Yeah. I'm leaning. If anybody wants to talk about Jaylen Brown, anything outside of points, like I'm definitely leaning towards the under on that stuff. The RA under has been a nice hit for him.
I like the assists actually for him. I think this could be a good over assist for Jaylen Brown. What is that at?
That's way the hell down.
Okay.
So you would have to get wait, what is this? This is not over 1.5. It's not minus 1.
Oh, that's cool. That's a nice feature. I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. But this is wrong. Over 1.5 is not better juice than unless it's Prize Picks. Okay, that's why. Yeah, it's minus 5. So Prize Picks, this is a great look right here on Prize Picks for any of y'all putting
no way. Together. Yeah, that's a nice little gem over there. It's a nice piece.
Yeah, minus 119 is a piece of your parlay for JB to get 2 dimes in this game. Yeah. And he's got it.
We saw it with Ant Edwards, right? Whenever he would drive, he'd have to pass out. This is kind of how I'm envisioning the copy and paste type role being for Jaylen Brown,
Wow. That's a really good comp right there. And you can see in his last 4 games, dating back to even last season, much different team last season, but the assists were still there, even at 2.5. Plus, like you aren't getting to all the way to the rim against this Dallas team.
No,
like you said, that's the Ant comp right there. Is like Ant's trying to get to the bucket every time. But that's interesting as hell. I think playing some Jaylen Brown.
And here's the thing. Look, and when Ant had his success, it came in games where Derek Lively didn't play. It's not going to be the same case. Like Lively is healthy, and he's going to definitely affect a lot of looks.
Dan, I'm starting to feel a little bit like if there's a play for, and I'm just pulling up, I'll pull up FD for right now, but like if there's like a Jaylen Brown, and you would probably like something like this if it was like Jaylen Brown under 25 points combined with like Jaylen Brown over like 2 assists.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's nice.
That might be a nice.
Pips likes to do those as well with those 2 legs with the same player. I like that. It's a pretty solid.
Yeah,
can you can do that?
I know you can. You can't take an alt over under on.
You can do it on FanDuel. Yeah, I think you can.
No, you can do it on DK, is where they give you alt over or under. So you can take an alt under on DK. I'm not sure you can get the alt under, right? It's just if you want to take alt, you got to take over on FanDuel. But if you're going into here,
that's solid. I would do that. I would do under maybe 24.5 points, and then pair that with over 1.5 assists, or over 1.5. Yeah, over 1.5.
Yeah, let's see what that does for us real quick. I'm gonna put Jaylen Brown in here. I got to go all the way down to over under points. So Jaylen Brown alt over under. So if we take under 25.5,
wow. Do under.
That's only minus 190.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now pair that with the assists. I mean, you got a nice like plus odds right there. I'm assuming.
No doubt you do. Where are the assists at for our boy? 2.5 is minus 160. Does that still? I mean, that still doesn't scare me out.
Scroll down. Can you scroll down to see if there's?
That's plus 150.
I mean, even that's nice, but
if we take the alt over under and you go over 1.5,
like minus 130 now.
Let's see. Oh wow, that was a great call, my friend. It is exactly minus 130. We might be looking at.
I like that. I think that's a nice pivot. If you missed, it's 23.5 now. I got it. Yeah. The line's back. I must be someone on the public juiced it up, but
yeah, I think so. I haven't seen that many people playing over Jaylen Brown, but I think a few people in the chat mentioned that they did. But that's not a bad look right there for JB if you believe in that for real. And Parlay Science, what's up, Daft? Yeah, no, that's a good look. Real quick, let me interrupt us and ask the team total for Dallas that was brought up earlier, and I think that's pretty interesting. It's at 105.5 for their team total. I want to go over. Like, this keeps rising in general. I do think like over 214.5 was the open line for the total, and it's at 16.5, 17.5 now because it's been bet up. Where are you with the sort of like speed of this series and the amount of offense that you think we'll see?
I think on the Dallas end, we're going to probably have to see a lot of 3-pointers from them just to be able to keep up scoring, with how Boston is.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to score.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Anytime, though, it's, I've done it 5 or 6 times this series where I've taken a team total. What I want to happen is the complete opposite. I have the worst luck with these things. I think these are probably the most sharpest things like that bookmakers do. So whatever I say, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think there's any edge with these personally.
Yeah. I concur. Like, these numbers are pretty sharp for the totals. Like, I will say, if you're taking a side, I'm not really banking on a total here. There's a couple of reasons. 3-point variance. I hate talking about that with these teams. Like, I don't really like getting into the total with them. If they hit their threes, probably going over. If they don't hit their threes, they're probably going under. It's like kind of that simple for both of these squads who shoot such a high percentage of their shots from deep. By the way, We the Fifth, I saw you can say you can do alt unders on FD. I remember that. I just wasn't finding it right away, but I'll look for it a bit later. So we can talk about it more later. But the side is where I'm like, look, like, who's ever getting points, I'm probably just going to take them. If there's any team that's getting points, if it's over 5 points, for instance, like it is in this game, I'm taking the 6.5, and I'm just going to use that. I don't think there's a big enough difference between these two teams that like you would ever lay 6.5 points in any of these games. And the other thing I mentioned is like, this might be this might be a series where, and I hope this isn't the case, but like it might be 20-point blowout followed by 20-point blowout followed by 15-point blowout. Like,
I hope not. I hope to God not. I hope it's
really hope not.
No, I had enough of that with the Bucks.
I'm trying to mentally prepare us for that. Is where
if that happens, man, like we are screwed with Peyton.
We're
screwed. No, I don't think so. True. I think both these teams are rested. I think the fans are going to be treated for a nice competitive series. I hope so.
Yeah, and I think we were both laughing at Daft talking shit. I concur, Doctor. Yeah, we're doing surgery over here, brother. By the way, I sent you the link to the stream if you're out there, Depp, but I know it's stupid dumb early over there in Australia. All right, cool. Let's keep moving and look at a few more. We've had PJ brought up a ton for us, and I think that's a pretty interesting look. So PJ assist was brought up because it's at 1.5. I don't have much of a read on his dimes. Let me pull it up here on Outlier though for a minute, and I think I just heard Daft in the chat. Oh my God, and our boy is at his computer. What's up, fam?
I concur.
Let me get you up in here. No, we're gonna fix it. It happens every time like that. Hold on, I got you on this. Wait, let me pull up the three man. Daft, talk to me, man. What's going on?
I'm just trying to get warm. We're about to hit winter here in Australia.
It's so weird. Sweating my balls off.
And I'm follically challenged, so it's cold as hell.
Follically challenged. Either way, so talk to me, man. We were just before I asked you for your plays. We weren't really talking about much. We were talking about the speed of the series. I could see it being pretty slow, so I'm not really necessarily worried about that. But what's your overall thought on that, right? Because here's the only thing I'll say. Dallas ended with the 7th fastest pace in the league, if you guys can believe that, which is wild. Then you've also got the fact that Boston plays really slow but has an efficient offense. I'm not touching totals, but it's helpful to at least like have a projection for it so that you can decide if you like some overs or unders in this game, right? Where are you at with that, Daft?
For this game, I'm picking overs, and I normally don't touch totals at all. But I think when I was going through all the players, there was so many where I was like, I'm just not too sure. I don't know. Like, there was a lot of uncertainty because, one, I don't know who's going to produce for Boston, but I know they're going to get points. And I think in game one, like, we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what the team's going to do, and there's a chance that they don't know what they're going to do either. So I think out of all the games, probably game one is the one that we see go over. And then as they adjust, their defense tightens up. So for this particular game, I do like the over.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we're both on the same page with that. Like, this would be where you see it. Let me ask you for a bet then real quick, and we can go from there.
Well, talking totals, I got it at 214, but that was earlier in the week.
Yeah. So you're the one steaming that thing to the over, huh? You pushed it?
Absolutely not. I said I'm betting the over, but nobody followed me.
I got you.
I'm not moving lines.
For sure.
I haven't touched too many bets because there was a lot of uncertainty around it. Have you guys spoke about Papa Al yet?
Well, we didn't.
We'll get to him. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Did you have a bet for Papa Al?
I really just liked his points. I think 6.5. A bit disrespectful. I think my thought process was Boston are only going to play 7 players in this game. KP, first game back, he probably gets 30.
Yeah.
With Al Horford. And I think matchup-wise, it works out well. Dallas, as good as they've been defensively, I think they've been a bit vulnerable to spot-up shooters. They've been letting people shoot. And I think out of everyone from the Celtics team, Al Horford's the guy that you want to lead. Right?
Yeah.
And I think if you look at his profile, I think he's most likely to take a lot of those corner threes that Dallas have been giving up.
Yep.
So I see a world where Al Horford makes a couple threes.
That also helps out the Peyton Pritchard under. I think like when both will likely be in the game, I think they're going to be more so willingly to give a 3-up to Al Horford than to Peyton Pritchard, just because he's more of a threat. So that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think of ways to play Al. Like I was telling everybody in the Discord the same concept of like, this is too low. Now the rebounds, I don't really want to talk about. I think it's the points that I'm like, well, what are we talking about here? If I go to the regular season and I put him in here with Kristaps, right?
I think he's like 9.5 or something.
Still at 8.2 points per game. There's
pretty solid.
Yeah. There's 2 centers.
I'm just a little bit worried though. Like he also, just like Pritchard, I can see Luka actively picking on him. You know what I mean? Like he's so slow-footed.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But there's no other alternative because it's not like, well, let's give KP 35 to 40 minutes because they'll pick on him too. You're not going to put Tillman
out there. But maybe the alternative is you get some Xavier Tillman minutes.
Oof.
But that's not going to come till like game 4 or 5. You know?
Yeah, that's fair. Damn. Okay, real quick, just because Mike brought it up, I agree. Like the Celtics team total, I think just take the over in the game, Mike, is kind of where I'm at with it at this point. Like if you're talking about the Celtics at 110 and they've been scoring 119, I agree. If the threes are falling for the Celts at all, they're still going to be good. They're just not going to have the same like easy get to the bucket stuff like for Tatum and company that we've seen. Same for Jaylen Brown. So that's the only thing that I would heed caution with. But just to finish the point about Papa Al, you didn't put a bet in for that, Daft?
Yeah, I just took the 6.5.
You did take the 6.5.
Yeah. And with you on that.
Yeah, I think we're kind of with you on that. I like left talking about Al Horford after I got into a bunch of stuff in the last live stream and in the projections video. But come on, man. Like, I'm trying to see.
Is there juice on the over or the under? It's on the under.
Yeah, over is minus 102.
Why is that? That's strange.
For 6.5. Like, I'm doing 2020. I'm putting him in here with KP real quick. And just seeing this for the whole season, right? This is for 2023. He went over in 66% of the time. He's averaging the amount of points that we need him to get, so that's understandable. But the field goals are at basically 6 attempts. 3 of those are from deep, right? Slightly more than 50% of his shots are coming from deep. So we do need him to hit the threes. Let's look at what his 3 prop is at real quick. 1.5 is plus money for the over. So we kind of do need him to hit 2 threes, I would imagine.
How many minutes can we book Al down for? At least 20?
Should we put him at 20? I don't know why not. Like, put Kristaps at 28. I mean, there you go, right? So, like, we'll do 20 is a good number, and I'll cap this at, like, 22, to be honest. I'll leave it at 24 just in case. But this is the threes, making 1.14, so that's a little bit dicey. The points when he plays this amount of minutes that we're talking about, which is like, I'll say, like I said, like 22, 23, whatever is the peak here. But even in this amount of minutes, I mean, he's at 6.29. He went over more than he went under. Had a game against the Knicks earlier in the year. They blew him out. He didn't play very much. Like, yeah, man. I mean, this is still a good look for him, especially because as you look on Prop Madness, like, where do you think homie's taking his shots from? A quarter of his shots are in the corner, which is like the 3rd worst corner defense in the league. So
I think the other thing that could get Al some more minutes is how Boston plays defense and what Dallas does. So Kristaps, naturally, he's going to go into drop coverage on a pick and roll.
Yeah.
So what Boston are going to try to do is when Kristaps is defending off the ball, Luka's going to call his man up for a screen. They're going to try to switch whoever Kristaps is with somebody like Jrue Holiday off the ball before that screen is set. So when that pick and roll happens, they can switch. But if Dallas find a way to expose KP, who's naturally going to fall into a drop coverage, which is going to lead to these lobs, then you could see more Al time because Al, they'll switch out.
Yeah.
As much as you get
same thing that the Mavericks were doing, right? Like Gafford would come up to set the pick, and that would unfortunately have to move Gobert closer to
Yeah.
They're definitely going to action. They're going to try to action Porzingis to not be a drop coverage.
Right. Yep. And that would be why sometimes you have Al on the floor with KP. I just want to bring that up. Like, we don't have to look at them. Yeah. Like they did that in the March game, right? Now, Gafford and Lively are not going to be on the floor at the same time. You can still do with that what you will, because they're going to still get a total of 48 minutes between them and probably 26, 22 like we've seen. But like for Al and KP, it's just as like Al playing 22 minutes and KP playing 28. It's because they're going to be on the floor. There's some overlap there, right? And so that actually does help Al stay in the corner even more. He's not shooting above the break if he's on the floor with KP. He's the corner shooter at that point, right? So I like the Al stuff a lot. I'm putting that down here for myself too as a lean for a minute. I'm going to put the beauty of doing this a couple hours early is that we are going to be able to get this video up on YouTube, so the comments will have all these bets for us. That I put in. So some of the stuff that's a lean right now for me, I'm going to deliberate after I get off of here and take a look at a couple more things. But over 6.5 points is a good tail for me from Daft, and we'll see what we do from there. One more thing I was going to bring up before I move too far away, and now I forgot. But I think someone in the comments said something that reminded me. Oh yes, I did want to get into Jrue now, because it's a nice segue from corner 3-pointer shooter Al to corner 3-point shooter Jrue Holiday. I'm wildly high on Jrue Holiday in this series for his points and his threes a lot. I think he's going to keep getting those corner shots. We saw it all day, every day against them in the regular season. Tell me why I shouldn't be betting over. I'm really tempted to take 2+ threes for Jrue along and combine it with his points and just get that over even money at that point. Like, did you have anything for that, PB, to start?
Yeah, I think Jrue Holiday is probably going to have Luka on him. I think he's the weakest guy on the floor as far as scoring wise. So maybe they're going to try to put Luka on him, and it's going to kind of be like Jaden McDaniels, how he treated him, and try to get those threes to make Luka chase after them. So I like the 3-pointer look for him. I think he's going to get a lot of corner threes maybe. And then I'm seeing it everywhere. People are liking the assists. They think that he's going to get the ball more so because Luka is on him, and then Jrue Holiday makes the extra pass, kind of a thing, while the defense tries to react to it. I didn't touch anything officially. What's the threes at? What's 1.5 threes?
It's still 1.5. Yeah. So let me pull it up. But like,
it's like -200 or something, right?
It's definitely dropped a ton at this point. Like that's why I was saying, if you take it, like you might as well. Now it's 2. Yeah. So there's some place that just straight up bumped it to 2.5. But here's the other thing, real quick. It was +160 for him to hit 3 threes when the core line was 1.5. So they've actually given us better juice on FanDuel than the previous alt number. You see what I'm saying? So, look, over 1.5 is a wonderful parlay piece, and the over 2.5, add it to your parlays too. Shit, I don't care. Like I'm still taking that, to be honest with you. So, but where are you at with that, Daft? And also touch on the threes, or the assists rather, if you would, and then we'll briefly touch on the rebounds too, because I saw that brought up.
Well, as a fellow point guard, so in my social competitions, I play 2 a week. I'm one of the very few players who averages more assists than points. But I didn't touch anything on Jrue. I noticed a lot of people taking his points, but there's a real recency bias. They haven't factored in the KP edition. So I was hesitant on that. The 3-pointers are a good look, but the odds scare me away immediately. I wanted to ask you, Josh, because I know you normally do this when a player comes in or out. Did you create a visual for all the numbers for the Celtics starters with and without KP?
I didn't. What a brilliant idea that would have been.
That's normally your thing. I was waiting for you.
I'm the with and without guy. I know.
You're the with and without you, yeah. I had a glimpse, and I think based off my hood math, we see a 4-point reduction for Tatum, 3 points for Brown. Jrue Holiday goes down by 2 points, but Derrick White pretty much stays the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, my hood math ain't always great.
Interesting. So. Yeah. Wait, let's do it real quick. So Jrue drops a point when KP comes back, right? Jason Tatum, with and without Kristaps, drops 2.8 points. So yeah, like you said, about 3. Jaylen Brown, with and without KP, drops about 3 points, 2.7. And then you said D. White. What's interesting is at the beginning of the season, Derrick White was the biggest beneficiary of Kristaps not being in. I kept going to his PA over and over and over every time Kristaps missed a game, and then now he's there. So it's gone. Yeah. So, like, well, what do you do with that, Dav? Since you brought it up,
you can either fuck around and find out, or you can just stay away. Like I was happy to just wait and see how this game played out for a lot of these Boston players.
Yeah.
Most of my looks was to the under, and I hate betting unders.
Yeah.
So
interesting. What was one of your unders that maybe you can toss our way?
Well, Jaylen Brown was one. I know there's this whole concept that I trust Jaylen Brown more than I do Jason Tatum, but I'm like, they do the same shit. Like, like they're excellent sometimes, and they're absolutely awful other times, especially if you have a bet on them because their shot selection is poor. Jaylen Brown misses a lot of easy layups. Like, he'll miss a lot of easy layups. Jason Tatum will take a lot of bad shots. Like, very much the same. I think one of them disappoints the Celtics fan base and punters worldwide. So,
yeah. And you think it's Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, I'm aligning to PB here. Because I'm like Jason Tatum. I want to like him. I've got this thing where I want to like him, but when I watch him, he frustrates me. Like, and then he'll just have a game like Indiana where he just attacks the rim every time. Like, where is this?
Yeah. So that's fair. Yeah. So for you guys, like the threes for Jrue is a look. The dimes though, like. I don't see it. Now, I think what people are looking at for the dimes is the head-to-head stuff for Jrue. Let me pull him up real quick. Yeah. I think that's what the key here is that everyone's looking at. So if you do head-to-head with this squad, like let's also keep in mind a couple of things.
That regular season.
Outlier does a good job of like when we ask about assists, it's like we're asking head-to-head. I don't really care about what happened last season. He wasn't even on this team last season, right? So to say like Jrue has gone over this assist number against the Celtics 4 games in a row doesn't do much for me because he was a Milwaukee Buck for 2 of those games. So it's a completely different offense. So just keep that in mind. Like it's not the same. It's not apples to apples, right? And now he's gone over on the dimes twice. A couple things to keep in mind. One, nobody missed a shot for Boston when they scored 138 points in this last game on March, right? 2, this is not the same Dallas team. Like nobody has changed more drastically from the pre-trade to post-trade deadline than this squad, right? That's why they're in the freaking finals. So just keep that in mind. Like if your whole reasoning behind taking assists over for Jrue Holiday is that he's done it a bunch against this squad, let's just nix that a little bit and tone it down. It's kind of where I'm at, right?
Yeah, I look at Dallas right now as if you were going to get into a MMA match, right? You're getting into an octagon with someone who's transgender. Like how you fought them before is not going to be the same when you fight them now. They're completely different. They might they might have a similar look in their eyes, but everything. I was like,
where the fuck is he going with this?
I've been watching Dallas closely. Like it's one of the biggest shifts I've seen from a team from the start of the season.
Like
it makes no
question. Yeah.
So I've been throwing a lot of that regular season data out especially in these playoffs.
Yep. I feel that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put Jrue as a lean for myself too. There's a couple more things I want to look at. I'll do that off stream. I'm going to put over 2.5 3 p.m. at plus 162 on FD as a lean for right now, and then kind of come back to it. I'll pin that on the comments of the video as well. As soon as it's on YouTube here in a minute. I'll be jumping in the Discord too if you guys aren't in there. All that stuff's rolling on the bottom line, by the way. The links to everything is in the description of the videos. All the tools we're using. You guys got questions about it, let me know. We can look at it. I'm sure all these laughing faces are for Daft's absurdity. So we're good on Jrue. Like I think we're in agreement there. I'm not as far as the rebounds. Is there any reason to take rebounds for him that you can think of, PB, or have you thought about that for Jrue Holiday at all?
Jrue Holiday rebounds?
Not really on your radar.
No, I like to do rebound props. No, I'm nothing.
I know.
I'm not really targeting anything.
But that I'll just take this moment to say, like, when and I know that you guys are similar in this too. Like, when you're looking at rebound props, what we're looking at is obviously rebound chances. And on top of that, like the matchup, right? Those are like kind of the two key things is like, what's the volume of rebounds we expect this person to get? And is there reasoning in terms of their matchup, who they're guarding, where they're at on the floor that would make you think that? Jrue's maybe you'd like some offensive rebounds if you're a prize picks person and you want to take like over one rebound on like an offensive board for him. That makes sense to me as someone who's going to be crashing from the baseline. Maybe he gets one over on Luka or what have you. Although Luka outjumped Ant in one of those series, by the way, there was like a couple plays where I was like, what did I just watch? Did Luka jump that high? But I'm still going to take Jrue to be able to jump over him. So maybe that's why you like it. But I'm not really there with the boards for Jrue necessarily, although there will be opportunities for other guys to get rebounds outside of the centers because we know that a lot of the centers are going to be pulled from the basket at times. There's nothing there for me in terms of strategy or game theory that I could use. So let's keep it moving to a couple more. I think the guys we should at least hit on that we haven't yet.
What about Derrick Jones Jr.?
DJJ. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm gonna add him right now. And then there's a couple others I do want to look at since we got the time. But hit me up with some DJJ talk.
I was kind of eyeing this one, the PR option, 11.5. I kind of like the under on that one. I think you can get it at -104 on FanDuel, so pretty solid odds. Just with him, I think a lot of the reason why he was able to be successful in the previous series versus Timberwolves is because they were able to blitz Luka, and that kind of opened up the corner spot up looks. Mm-hmm. We were kind of talking about it earlier. I don't know if that's going to be the case this series. I think the Celtics the defenders are comfortable enough as is to defend him one-on-one, kind of let him attack. And if that's the case, and you know, the numbers kind of back that up, right? Like going in the playoffs, the Celtics permit the fewest corner threes. That's kind of where DJJ is getting to his points. The Celtics also don't really give up a lot of transition points too, where he's, you know, benefiting. And then I want to tackle on the rebounds too, because I mean, he's going to probably be tasked with what we were talking about with all the cross matching with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Yes. I don't know if a lot of the time he's going to be grabbing rebounds, more so contesting shots.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah. So under the PR, or this is points. So the PR is at 11.5.
PR points. Points is solid. Can you get maybe better than -134 for 8.5? I want to get everyone's thoughts on that. This is kind of I just kind of thought of this.
No, that's
all right. So what's the PR? Yeah, I would go with the PR then.
So PR, the best number there is going to be 11.5, -104 to the under though.
So it's moving the opposite way, which is good. So I saw a lot of people taking this pick to the over, and
really?
my first thought was to fade it. So I don't worry when other people bet this. If anything, it gets me a bit more excited.
Yeah.
And the reason why a lot of people are taking this is purely on minutes. I think
I mean, he's going to have to play a lot for sure.
33.
You know?
Yeah, and I think when he does that, he's 23-7 to the over. But my thoughts are.
What was the number you threw out there, Dad, for the minutes? 33.
26 to 33.
Okay.
But my thoughts are very much the same as yours. This Boston team is probably going to back themselves to play more one-on-one and have Jrue or Derrick White in that roaming role.
Yeah,
which is most likely defending Derrick Jones Jr. So they'll roam, they'll leave him, but I don't think he gets as many shots off. And that transition play, I think it's spot on. So I'm with you on leaning to the under here.
Yeah, it's a lean right now. It could be honestly player prop number 5 for me. But
interesting. I could tell you were getting excited about something when when you put your game face on, PB, and you're like into the research. Yeah. Then you just get into it, and I feel that, and I'm glad you brought that one up because I wasn't even going to talk about DJJ because he's so goddamn inconsistent, and I was one of the fools who was like, oh, let me take his points and rebounds at the beginning of last series, and then especially because he looked so good making shots against the Thunder, but man, is that shot busted, dude, busted. It's like
well, it makes sense. Like they leave that corner 3 open. I mean, they're one of the top teams in like allowing that, where the Celtics are the complete opposite. And also the transition is probably the biggest selling point on why he won't be so successful, you know?
Yep. 100%, yeah, and that's one of the other things. So my 2 favorite things about Prop Madness, I was telling, I'm always giving feedback to Pips. 1, because he can take whatever you throw at him, and 2, because I love the fucking product so much. I just want the things that I want added to it, so I just go right to the source since he's the homie. But I just want to bring up the 2 best parts are you can look at the opponents based on how good they are at defending certain aspects of things, which is just. I just don't understand why that's not the most commonplace thing on these sites. The other one is obviously the play type and the shot chart, which is like the other next, maybe two most important things alongside it. So like the transition and the spot up is the only way that DJJ scores. It's just, that's it. Like it made some cuts, but you can't really look at defense for that. Free throw line, whatever. The Celtics are one of the best teams at limiting free throws anyway, so I'm not worried about that. And then the shot chart. So both those things, you're talking about a defense that's been the best in the corners in the playoffs, like you mentioned, PB. I think he's a good under, to be honest. So let's try to get this real quick, PB. Do you have anything that you want to look at for DJJ before we move on? That's like some filters that might help you get to where you want to get with this.
Okay, got you. Let's see. Yeah, what I would do is, I think he probably plays. I honestly think he plays more than 30 minutes, but he could also get in foul trouble too if they drive and they.
Yeah, but that's a good point. I don't want to make you do this like totally on the spot. I know it's something you want to.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think for this specific play, using this won't really play a role. I just think this is just a different matchup, a different animal. I mean, actually check this out. Okay, so go in the regular season. I'm more so interested. Can you see how he does versus like bottom 15 paced teams? Because if he's playing against a fast team, that's gonna definitely impact the chances that he gets those fast break layups. Yeah,
you probably need opponent versus the fast break, right?
What's a good comparison? Like a team that's very similar to. Maybe the Cavs are.
Man. There's not very many teams shooting 40 times a game with 5 all-stars in their starting lineup.
But do you guys think though, like with the rebounds, like does it make sense that he's not going to be camping and looking for rebounds? Like that's Luka, is he going to be the point of attack defender? That's what he's interested for.
The two of the more disappointing things from the last series with Dallas and Minnesota for me was Jaden McDaniels not rebounding and Derrick Jones Jr. not rebounding. I just don't get it, guys. Like, I guess DJJ got a little bit better there, but it was still like usually at about 4.5. So I was like, I can't really take a 4.5 rebound prop. I guess at 3.5, it's gotten a little bit low, but you can add it to the points.
A lot of the times too with Derrick Jones Jr. Last series, they would try to get Ant involved and Cat Carl Towns involved. So he would have to. That's where he would get the rebounds. But for most of the time, it's just going to be Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think 40% of the time. Taking shots,
Yeah.
Whereas like last series, Ant was not 40%, maybe 25 to 30%,
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. He's close to me to a bet, but I think I'm passing on DJJ for now because he's been inconsistent that like it really. I think it's a better under. The only thing that dicks you is he going to hit a couple corner threes randomly? Because I also agree.
What's the 3-point line at? Let's see what that's at. What are they setting that at? That's also a nice indicator I like to use sometimes. Like, what do they respect? Okay, so they think he's only going to get one.
Oh wow, -220 though. But yeah, wow.
Honestly, what I would do at this point is you can filter games where he makes at most 1-3, and you can take out those games where he had more than 2.
Yeah. So just all the 1-pointers in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then check out.
They go to PR.
Yeah, what's that look like? Okay.
So about 50%. Yeah. The graph average now is below the number, but
that 20 PR game was simply due to the Thunder they shut down both Kyrie and Luka, and someone else had to step up. Yeah.
Dude, was this the game Daft where he went 1 of 5 from deep, but just kept driving and took 12 total field goals?
Yeah.
This is the game that fucked you when you had the threes, right? And you got the points and not the threes.
Shout out street cred.
Yeah, that was a hilarious moment in time. All right, let me keep it moving for a minute. Stay tuned for the DJJ stuff. I know that you'll be trying to see something for that PV, but I want to close it out here in the next 10-15, and I just wanted to make sure we touched on PJ, Kyrie, and Derek White.
Okay,
Daft,
yeah.
Daft, let me toss it to you, Daft. Do you have any place you'd want to start with those 3 homies?
Let's talk about PJ for a second.
All right.
I didn't take anything on PJ, but
good start.
You know that he's going to get opportunities. You can back him 10 to 12 shots. He'll get those. The question is, does he make them?
Great question.
But I do think he gets similar look all series long. It's another one of those plays where you got to wait to see how Boston defends. Are they going to come out and defend the way that Minnesota did? Because for the most part, that's how they normally would, which makes it a bit difficult for PJ. We know PJ is going to get 37 to 40 minutes because he's going to pick up one of those Jays. So the minutes, the opportunity should be there. It's just the percentage scares me. Like, I think if my thought process on PJ, I'm going to watch him closely. And if he doesn't play well these first 2 games in Boston, I'll probably hammer the over the minute they go back to Dallas.
Sure. Oh, that's another good point. Yeah,
That's a good one. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I'll look it up right now. Dude, does he have better splits of what? This is away in the last 20.
Yeah, he actually does. Well, I mean, that's like
he's better at home, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I mean, 14.6 points compared to 12.8.
Yeah. So 14.6 in the playoffs specifically at home. And then the away stuff is 12.8. So it's a couple points difference. They both still get you over this points line. But also let's keep in mind, Homie is a spot-up shooter taking most of his shots from deep. 11 of his 18 in this game. He went 7 for 11 when he got 29. So this skews everything, right? With the 29-point banger right here in the 40 minutes. I think you've got to cap his shots at like 12 at the most. That's usually what he's shooting. Look, I mean, let's look at it. This is 10.
Yeah, he had 3 outlier games against.
Yeah, exactly. And they dramatically. So look how many times he's hitting 10, by the way. And we don't have to worry about away at home for a second. Like in the playoffs alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games out of the 17. He got exactly 10 points, right? So like that's why I was just like, my thing for PJ is like I can I'm actually a little bit grateful that I can literally just go like this and go 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 threes, and not look at shit else and just be like, all right, let's go for it, man. This is the averages. I might lose it this game. Probably gonna win the next game or 2 games from now. Like I don't gotta worry about it, and that's nice to not have to worry about it. I could just be like, yo, I get even money or better for him to do something he's done 60% of the time. All right, I'll just do it and I'll win that bet 60% of the time, and then I'll be good to go. You know, like that's easy freaking betting right there. So if anybody wants to know about PJ on the assists, and that's the one thing. Does anybody have anything? We get some random looks, but like PJ assists is like
that was a typo.
What's
PJ,
that?
I'm not on anything for PJ.
How would you cap it? I wouldn't know how to cap it. And if anything, like if he's guarding Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, which is what we've all agreed is they're going to be just the 4 of those dudes are going to be interchangeable, then like what are we doing here, right? Like I'm good on that. So I
think when he's in the game, a lot of his energy is just going to be focused on the defense rather than the offense, and he'll get those looks. Sure, you know,
and spot up, right? Like, and that's something to keep in mind is like spot up stuff. This is what he's doing. 62% of his points, I cannot stress that enough, are going to come off of the spot up. And the reason I keep saying Boston is going to be a lot more like Minnesota than OKC is because they're not going to give shit up on the spot up, right? It's just, it ain't going to happen. So keep that in mind. I think 10 points is a good look, but that hook is a big deal for PJ on the 5.5 boards. And I'll show you that too real quick. The boards might be even crazier. Look how many times he's getting 5 exactly, dude, in the playoffs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Again, 6 out of the 17 games, he's getting exactly 5.
It's his KPI. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's his key performance index. That's exactly right. What a sales nerd, exactly. But you're not wrong. All right. So then, since we've got the same look on PJ, like there's nothing that would indicate, oh, this man's going to get more dimes in this game, unless you think it's that he's going to get run off the line and then get it. I'm going to bet the house that PJ's gotten a bunch of assists recently in a way that like people are like, let's hit it because that hit rate is nice. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So in the playoffs, 9 of 17 is, and there's so much green here, but don't forget that's followed by 0, 0, 0, zeros. Like, so
he's probably getting 3 potential assists though, or something.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's a really good point because hold on, 1.5 at plus 120. I'm kind of being a dick when I'm saying like there's nothing there actually. Now I'm like, well, shit. Now I'm being convinced. Hold on. So the potential is, it's still like you said, 3, right? I don't know. It's a gamble, man. We're trying to find stuff that's a little bit better odds than a gamble for us, right? With the value. So I'm gonna stop being a dick about it. Like I'm not gonna make fun of anybody that takes the assists, but it ain't a bet for me. So I'll just say that.
Like I know that between the 3 of us, we probably overthink a prop. Like we overthink it to the max, right? But there's a lot of people out there who are successful just looking at the graph and like, there's a lot of green. Let's hit it, and they get cash, right?
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. But yeah, we're gonna. I'd rather overthink this stuff, I think, than underthink it. Is why we keep doing it, right? But also there's pressure because people are gonna be like, we're publicly doing this shit. So like, it's a little bit different, right? Like whenever somebody's like, yo, I should do this. Like I'm better than you at it. I'm like, by all means, man, please jump in and have everybody come in and tell you how stupid you are the minute you get a bet wrong. But anyway. I'll step off.
I was actually just going back real quick to the Derrick Jones Jr. I was just kind of thinking like similar type players that face the Celtics. I'm thinking the closest comp is probably Isaac Okoro, right? 3-and-D guy, like spot up, transition, and so the game he actually played 30 minutes with Donovan Mitchell that May 7th game. He had 12 PR, but that came on 3 3-pointers.
Okay.
So I think like that's kind of a similar.
So you're saying DJJ is going to need to just hit a ton of threes.
I think it's going to come down to him hitting the threes, man. You know, I think he's not going to get those layups.
Well, I don't know if you've heard Daft talk about this yet. Daft, this seems like a moment in time to bring up the beast or bitch parlay.
Whoa.
I'm new to this. What's this?
I know. This is PB. I absolutely loved it. More than anybody else, the Miles Turner beast or bitch parlay is brilliant. Because I'm just going to try to explain it, Daft. I just want to hear your thoughts on it. But like for Miles Turner, using him as the example, Daft was like, if he gets rebounds, he gets points. There was like correlation between like he's either going to come out and be a beast or he's going to come out and be a bitch. There's no middle ground for this man, right? So he would take a prop that was like under like this under same game parlay of like under points with under rebounds or over points with over rebounds, and both get you like plus 400, plus 500. And so you kind of cover yourself. Is he going to play like a beast or is he going to play like a You know what I mean? That feels relevant. What did I mess up?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you fade his under PR and then you take 2+3s or 3+3s for him, you know?
Precisely. Daft, your thoughts. Did I do it right?
No, you explained it perfectly. I think the one thing that you do is you don't take the normal point line because we're talking bitch or beast. With Miles Turner, his line was at about 17.5. So I took 20 plus and 10 rebounds. And then on the flip side, I took him under 12.5 points and under 7.5 rebounds. So you get massive odds. That's a full bitch or beast. I think it's more difficult with someone like Derrick Jones Jr. where his line is low, but there could be some stars. Like Jason Tatum, you can run a bitch or beast because sometimes he will get it low 20s. Other times he'll get high, like low 30s. So those big swings. Anthony Edwards, I hit a bitch or beast parlay on him too.
Yeah.
So you want those big lines with those big swings.
Yeah. And I think we're on the same page here, PB, of how we would use that for Derrick Jones Jr., right? Like you said, like take him to hit 2 threes for like plus 120 or something like, and it's not quite bitch or beast as like much as like a plus 500 or whatever, but it's still like it's hedging yourself with like a nice plus money bet for fewer units that don't necessarily take away too much from your winnings if he goes over or under on the points and rebounds or what have you. So just something in consideration as we're talking about the correlation between him hitting threes and going over this number. Well, a hedge to taking an under on the PR is, well, then just take a little bit on the over threes.
I mean, it's crazy too, man. Like the under 3.5 rebounds is minus 145, you know?
What? They don't even think he's going to get 3 boards.
No,
or four boards rather. Yeah.
So 4 boards and you add 6. That is a 3, and then either another 3 or 2 layups.
You could hit them both, baby. Why not both? You know, yeah, because you still leave yourself a nice middle opportunity there. Like, damn, now I'm starting to talk myself into that.
So you would do 2 threes and then you would do 5+ rebounds.
Or the under PR or
under PR, then you hedge is 2 threes and 4 rebounds.
It's not quite bitch or beast. It's more of like hedging your own bet in a way because of the strong correlation between hitting threes and getting over the PR.
I like the comment section. He acronyms it BOB. BOB, what is this like?
Yo, that's so good. Yeah, BOB or bombs over Baghdad or whatever. Yeah. That is amazing. Oh, we've also had multiple people in here come in and tell us about the GME stock. Have you guys been following GameStop stock at all?
Something about Roaring Kitty. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, it's coming back. You can't miss out on it if you're too late. I'm not going to pretend to be a financial analyst here, but Dom. First of all, Dom D, great looks from Dom all the time. I call him the role player whisperer for sure. because this man nailed Aaron Wiggins bets every game of the OKC Dallas series. He knew when to go over, he knew when to go under. It's very impressive. But yeah, either way, I would keep in mind that it's probably worth it right now to buy some GME stock. This is the second person who's brought it up in the chat, so we got some financial gurus in here. All right, let me close it out here because we do got to go in a sec. Kyrie, Derrick White, Gafford. Any preference on where to start?
I'm extremely biased when it comes to Kyrie, as you know.
Kyrie to God, though. I know.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
I even started to believe the Earth was flat. That's how biased I am when it comes to Kyrie.
Right.
But I think Kyrie can fit into that bitch or beast lane, really. Like, if you just check his numbers, his line's probably got 23, 23.5.
Yeah.
How often is it like, I got hooked on Kyrie? Who gets hooked on Kyrie? Like, you either you cash it with ease or you know you're not going to get it, right? And you're waiting for that fourth quarter. So I didn't take anything on Kyrie. There's this big narrative that, he's going back to Boston. He's going to be fired. He's not fired up. Like, this guy's so zen right now. And Boston are not poking the bear. The crowd may, but I feel like that, if anything, probably feeds into Luka. Luka's looking for chips to put on his shoulder.
Always.
Whereas Kyrie, he's looking for peace, man. So I'm waiting for Kyrie to put not a bad game, but a game where he's not as aggressive together, and then you'll see the signs, and then you back it, and then you see value. There's
B.O.B. Kyrie. Yeah, that's a really good point. So if that's the points, there's been a couple looks for the rebounds and assists thrown our way too for the Kyrie stuff. Man, I mean, I don't like playing his points. I can't even tell you how much I don't like playing the other stuff. Now, against OKC, the assist became a thing because they were forcing the ball out of Luka's hands, and Lou Dort is probably the best defender in the league to handle a guy like Luka. But that ain't this series, right? Like, even Jrue Holiday might not be quite big enough to like handle Luka the way that Lou Dort was forcing the ball out of his hands. So I don't really have much for Kyrie. I took him, and to your point, like B.O.B., right, for Kyrie, like I just took him 30 plus points for like 0.2 units to get me like a full unit back because it's a nice like plus 450 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that's all I did. I don't even need to worry about laddering stuff with homie or whatever. I just took 30 plus points, get me some nice return, and then I don't have to then I don't feel like I missed out if he goes off. But I'm not trying to like bet right around his prop line in any way, like you said. So, anything for Kyrie, Prabam, before we just move on to D White and call it here in a sec?
No, I'll keep it short. I have nothing on him. I want to see what's going to happen. So I have nothing.
Yep. Ditto. So, all right, cool. Let's close it out with D White. I will tell you the bet that I did put in, and I haven't given it out yet.
D White?
Derrick White, yeah.
Derrick White, okay.
Yeah. DW, D-Dub, whatever.
Dean Wade, Derrick White.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Dwayne Wade. I took under 4.8 assists for the series prop for him on DK.
I like that. Yeah. Do you remember when I was on? It was me, you, and Pips, and I was saying I was hyping up his over assists against the Pacers because a lot of it comes at the rim.
Yeah, because his assists come on drives, right?
Yeah, it comes on drives, I agree with you. I was hoping that this line would be 5.5 actually. I would take the under, but 4.5 feels pretty fair.
Right.
That's why I like the 4.8, whatever it was.
4.8 on DraftKings. Yeah,
I prefer that. Yeah. I was hoping that, again, maybe he has a ceiling assist game and we can fade it in game 2. But look at the Miami Heat, right?
Exactly. And this is what not only the Miami Heat, but this is this was with Kristaps, right? Like there was one, this is the only game. I'm sorry. These are all with Kristaps, right? Because I still have that filter on for the playoffs with KP. So here's a couple of things real quick on it. One, when Derrick White was playing with KP at the beginning of the season, it was a lot different. Somehow it changed, right? Because when he was playing with him at the beginning of the season, not very many assists, then everything kind of evened out. Because you saw when KP would be out, then Derrick White would go way up in assists. It was like 3-4 more assists. And the reason was he was playing the pick and roll ball handler in the times where KP's not in the game, right? It was now actually him running the pick and roll as the ball handler, Jason Tatum running the roll man stuff, or Jaylen Brown. And so that led to Derrick White dimes off of the pick and roll. He's not doing that with KP out there. So I still think that holds true, that Kristaps' presence and return impacts Derrick White assists maybe more than anything, to be honest. And so that's why I loved the under. There is a correlation in the playoffs. This is with KP in the playoffs. And then without KP, this is all going to be the hits that he has are all without him. So a 60% hit rate, averaging 5 without KP in the playoffs, right? Even against the team that limited assists almost as much as anybody in the regular season was the Pacers, right? Still getting those dimes. It was the postseason, whatever, but like got a ton of dimes against them. And then now we're talking about him, right, with Kristaps back on the floor. He's just going to kind of get pushed down to more of like a tertiary role. Tertiary means third, just for everybody who needed that. So that I lean under on the White assist. I saw people wanting to take over on him. I still don't think that's a good look. Did you have anything about Derrick White, Daft?
Yeah, absolutely. D light skin, I call him, not white.
D light.
D light. So out of all the Boston players, he's probably the only one I'd consider taking the over on his points.
I agree with you.
Obviously, the minimal impacts with KP coming back. Shot profile, the spot up shooting, I think he's most likely to take those. I think he probably has the highest percentage of points from spot up shooting out of all the Celtics players. I also think the assists, I'm aligned with that. So I'm doing a bit of parlay science as we speak.
Okay.
So going through my mind at the moment is to take the over on points. So to get 15 points, 3 boards, but to take the under 4.5 assists. So I think the points and the assist play, they correlate well. And those two together are plus 450. That's what I'm getting on Bet365.
Yep.
So I'm aligned to the thinking he's not going to get those dimes. But I do think, out of all the players, he's going to score.
Yep. I would be on points before I'd be on anything else. But, I just also tertiary, TER. Oh, got it. He beat me to it. My bad. We know how to spell tertiary, though, Stan, but I appreciate you asking. Thank you. Yeah, I paid attention in 3rd grade. Because my homie Ev is in here, by the way, I'm going to give Ev a shout out. He's a great writer for thelines.com. He's a great writer in general, and that's my guy. So if you are not following his hockey bets or his F1 bets,
check it out.
That has made me some money. My man has floated me on the hockey bets this season so far. Big Edmonton Oilers guy, and nothing is more fun than yelling Hyman after Zach Hyman scores a goal. So I would highly recommend giving Ev Scrimshaw a follow there, and also you get your Canadian politics in there as well. So some good shit. But real quick, Ev, just because you brought it up, the PJ Washington stuff, like I said earlier, I'm just blindly betting 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 threes every game, and just taking it like plus 110, plus 115. So that's the PJ Washington stuff. But I think we've covered enough, y'all, to be honest with you. I know we got a ton of people still in the stream, which I really
player. Yeah, I don't think we covered a player that.
I don't think we missed anybody. Let's make sure, unless somebody wants to talk about Sam Hauser, which I don't, to be honest.
Nah, I don't even.
Hey, do you guys think Hardy gets a run today?
I was actually going to say this is a legitimate question, and you're the Jaden Hardy whisperer, PB. Does he get run in this series? Is he meant for this?
Yeah, series? I think he's involved. Yeah, I think he's earned the trust for Kidd. At least right now, to place him over Tim Hardaway Jr., but I would not be surprised if Exum gets a little bit more run here just for his defense.
Over Hardy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. if Exum squeezes some minutes here, but he seems to be like their spark plug off the bench. So energy.
Yeah.
But
I think it comes down to the ball pressure, if Boston apply much of it at all. So Minnesota apply a lot of ball pressure, so it's like we need another ball handler out there as well. But
So you both think that Exum might be a little bit more made for this series than would.
Yeah. They may want to try to take it, bring Exum up, bring him the ball up, and it's a lot of off ball movement from both of them. If it's Kyrie on the court, just him and Kyrie,
Right. Yeah.
I like that.
That makes total sense. That's where I would be too. Jaden Hardy or Josh Green? They're not the same player by any means. So
you'll see some minutes too, for sure. I think Josh Green will see some minutes.
Yeah. Let's keep an eye on it. I would love to get you guys back on too. For most of these games, I'm going to be doing this again on Sunday at the same time for sure. So if you guys are around, we can definitely get it going again. But hopefully you got the real quick, Mike. That was for the series under 4.8 assists for D White. Or D Light.
D Light.
D Light. This racism is killing me, y'all. That's a Dave Chappelle line.
Hey, you're lucky I didn't reply to the Hyman comment. I had something on the top there. So.
I can't believe you left that alone, man. I set you up for the Hyman, but anyway.
I'm married.
we're gonna call it here though, because got a couple things to do, and I'm out of beer at this point. To be honest, is really the main reason. So appreciate everybody jumping in though. We had a really good screen, man. A lot of people in here. This one, definitely give these dudes a follow. Prop Bomb is going to be mostly on Twitter, and then he's got the Discord, which is on and popping. So I highly recommend jumping in there. Daft is the same concept, man. He's got his own videos that he's putting out every day. Also, like those WNBA videos that he's putting out, because I want him to keep putting them out, but I can tell that he's getting a little bit downtrodden upon himself for the W stuff. It's like, you're gonna get better at it, bro. Like, don't even stress that.
Yeah, do you have a Twitter account? I want to follow you. I was trying to.
Yeah, are you back? Did Elon reinstate you or what?
He did. It's just I forget to go on there sometimes.
Oh, so you're like a YouTube guy?
There?
Yeah, he's mostly on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to follow you. I couldn't find him. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good looks on there. And then his Discord is also a really good place to find some looks. But he's got some big old parlays, which he calls those BAPs as well, which
I had one of those in the WNBA actually yesterday. We're good.
You did what?
Plus 350. I hit one of those BAPs for the WNBA. We back, baby.
Who was it? Who was it?
I can't even tell you. I don't even know the girls' names. That's the problem. So,
well, if anybody wants anything for tonight, I love Angel Reese to get her points. I like Stephanie Dolson to do well tonight, even though she seems really,
Angel Reese too.
Yeah, totally on the threes with Stephanie. And then I really like an under in that Liberty game as well. If anybody wants to take the under on the total there, so just a few W plays for you guys. I got about 3 bets out earlier in the video, so appreciate it. But definitely, like I said, give these dudes a follow, man. Like, obviously, I wanted them to keep coming on because they're fucking fire. So I obviously like the shit they do. They've got my endorsement. But appreciate you guys, man. I'm gonna pester you about getting back on Sunday. Everybody else here, if you want to hit me up in the Discord, I'll be in there and we can get at it some more. So best of luck to everybody tonight. Let's get it in game 1. Bet responsibly, if you would. And until we all see you next, happy betting.
Peace out.